Welcome to Ink and Light, my new series about the comics and anime that shaped me. Today's episode isn't about the greatest manga ever. It's about the ones that raised me. These mangas shaped my childhood, my taste, and maybe even my career. And by the way, manga just means comic, so yeah, same thing. This list is totally subjective, full of nostalgia, bias, and memories. No One Piece, Naruto, or Attack on Titan here. Not because they're not great, just came later. I'll definitely talk about those in future episodes. Also, I'm not really ranking these. Every one of them means a lot to me. To help explain why, I added a few categories and a 5-star system, just a way to make it easier to talk about them. And since manga pages are hard to show here, I'll use anime footage when needed. But make no mistake, this is a manga list. Let's get into it. Number 10. Initial D. Street Racing, Mountain Passes, Eurobeat, and Tofu. Initial D wasn't just about cars. It was about rhythm, instinct, and quiet obsession. The story is simple but effective, and the art shaped my sense of car aesthetics. Not just machines, but soulful, expressive objects of identity. And yeah, the character art is kind of rough at first. But once you get used to it, there's a certain charm. This series played a big role in bringing JDM culture to the world. It turned old Toyotas into legends and made downhill drifting a global obsession. If someone's modding a hatchback like it's a Ferrari, they probably watched Initial D. To this day, I still find myself thinking of Deja Vu whenever I'm driving downhill. Story and writing, 4 stars. Art and visual design, 4 stars. Cultural impact, 4 stars. Number 9. City Hunter. City Hunter was probably my first real taste of cool. Guns, gangsters, high heels, heartbreak, all in one stylish, chaotic world. Ryo Saiba is half action hero, half hopeless flirt, but somehow it works. He could take down a gang with a single shot, and then ruin the moment by chasing girls like a total idiot. City Hunter was action, comedy, and romance all rolled into one. It didn't try to be deep, but somehow it always landed right in the heart. And the art. Honestly, it's underrated. It's technically superb, incredibly detailed and precise. Not flashy, but incredibly hard to pull off. This is the kind of drawing that looks effortless, until you try it yourself. Story and writing, 4 stars. Art and visual design, 5 stars. Cultural impact, 3 stars. Number 8. Akira. Akira didn't just predict the cyberpunk future, it invented it. The world of Neo Tokyo was dirty, fast, political, and alive. It wasn't post-apocalyptic, it was mid-apocalyptic. The city hadn't collapsed, it was still collapsing. That tension runs through every page. The story is dense and chaotic, part government conspiracy, part teenage rebellion, part cosmic horror. But the emotional core is always there. Fear, power, and the cost of losing control. Kaneda and Tetsuo weren't just characters, they were symbols of a generation spiraling out. And the art is unbelievable. Every background is hand-drawn with obsessive precision. The machinery, the lighting, the explosions, all real, all textured. Akira changed the global perception of manga. It showed that comics from Japan could be cinematic, intellectual, even prophetic. It opened the door for everything that came after, and some might argue nothing has surpassed it since. Story and writing, 4.5 stars. Art and visual design, 4.5 stars. Cultural impact, 5 stars. Number 7. The Drifting Classroom. I read this manga way too young, and it stuck with me like a nightmare. A school vanishes from reality and reappears in a dead, hostile wasteland. No answers, no adults, just panic and collapse. At the time, I didn't really get it, it just scared me. But years later, reading it again, it hit completely differently. It wasn't just horror. It was a story about society breaking down, about fear, instinct, and what people become when order disappears. And then came the new humans. This was the part that truly scarred me. not the violence, but the idea of a future where no one is allowed to be themselves, where connection is replaced by function and even friendship is extinct. That image, silent, unified, merciless, stayed in my mind for years. It wasn't gore that stayed with me, it was the feeling that we'd already lost. The art is harsh, expressive, sometimes grotesque. Tight panels, dense pages, no space to breathe. You don't just read this manga, you survive it. Story and writing, 4 stars. Art and visual design, 4 stars. Cultural impact, 3.5 stars. Number 6. Astro Boy. Every medium has a beginning, and for modern manga, this was it. Astro Boy wasn't just a story about a robot with a human heart. It was a story about war, loss, science, and the pain of being different. At its core, it asked the question, what makes someone truly human? I read Astro Boy knowing it came from a different time, but I was still surprised by how complex and even dark some of the stories were. There were moral dilemmas, political metaphors, and deeply emotional arcs. It wasn't just a children's book. It was a mirror. Tezuka's style looks simple, even cartoonish by today's standards, but behind that softness is a master's control. Panel pacing, visual rhythm, character silhouette. It's no exaggeration to say modern manga was built on this foundation. For me, Astro Boy isn't nostalgic. It's sacred. It shaped the medium, inspired generations of creators, and introduced the soul of manga to the world. Story and writing, 4.5 stars. Art and visual design, 4.5 stars. Cultural impact, 5 stars. Number 5. Junji Ito works. I didn't grow up with ghosts or monsters. I grew up with shapes that shouldn't exist, smiles that lasted too long, eyes that looked too calm in moments of horror. That's what Junji Ito gave me, fear without noise. His works aren't loud. They don't jump out at you. They wait. The horror in Ito's manga often comes from silence, from faces frozen in the wrong moment, from patterns that repeat until they crack your mind. And the scariest part? No one ever really escapes. Not the characters, not the reader. From a technical perspective, it's flawless. His line work is insanely delicate, but always controlled. Hair, skin, shadows, every texture feels alive, but sick. As an artist, I still don't know how he achieves that balance of beauty and dread. It's not about any one story. It's about an atmosphere. Junji Ito created his own genre of psychological horror, one where terror comes not from what happens, but from what cannot be explained. Story and writing, 5 stars. Art and visual design, 4.5 stars. Cultural impact, 4 stars. Number 4. Doraemon. Before I even knew what manga was, I knew Doraemon. It wasn't just a comic, it was a companion. Every gadget felt like a dream made real, a pocket that had no limits, just like childhood imagination. As a kid, I loved the inventions, the time travel, the humor. But as I got older, something changed. I started to see the sadness behind Nobita's laziness, the anxiety behind his daydreams, and how Doraemon wasn't just a helper. He was a band-aid for a kid who didn't believe in himself. The art is deceptively simple, clean, round, and full of life, but it takes genius to be this clear. Every expression, every panel communicates emotion with precision. And then, there was the goodbye. That moment when Doraemon might have to leave hit harder than I expected. Because we all knew what it meant. One day, childhood would end, and the pocket would close. Few manga have touched as many generations. Doraemon became a global icon not through hype or violence, but through kindness, imagination, and quiet emotional depth. Story and writing, 4.5 stars. Art and visual design, 4.5 stars. Cultural impact, 5 stars. Number 3. 20th Century Boys. This wasn't just a manga. It was a conspiracy, a memory, a lie, a prophecy. 20th Century Boys reads like a map drawn on the back of your childhood, where you start to wonder, what if the games we played as kids actually predicted everything? The story unfolds across decades, switching timelines and perspectives like a giant puzzle. It's messy, complex, sometimes overwhelming, but never empty. Every time you think you figured something out, it twists again. And at the center of it all is friendship. Broken, distorted, weaponized. The cast is enormous, but somehow you remember all of them. They feel like people you've met, or might become. The friend isn't just a villain. He's the embodiment of nostalgia turned toxic. As a creator, this manga changed how I think about structure. You can tell Naoki Urasawa planned every thread years in advance. Story and writing, 5 stars. Art and visual design, 4.5 stars. Cultural impact, 4.5 stars. Number 2, Slam Dunk. I grew up playing basketball, and Slam Dunk taught me how to love it. This wasn't just about sports. It was about pride, redemption, and that impossible thing we all chase in our youth. A moment that proves we're more than what people think we are. Hanamichi Sakuragi starts off as a joke. A loud, immature kid with red hair and no clue how to play. But the deeper you go, the more you realize he's not just comic relief. He's one of the most human protagonists ever drawn. And he's not alone. Rukawa, Akagi, Miyagi, Mitsui, almost every teammate could have led a manga of their own. Their stories weren't sidelined. Each had depth, pain, pride, and growth. There were no cardboard cutouts here, just people. Reading Slam Dunk was like being dropped into a 90s Japanese high school, where every court, hallway, and after-practice rooftop felt real. The art evolves with the characters. What starts out as solid and expressive eventually becomes cinematic, raw, almost documentary-like. Some later scenes barely have dialogue, just eyes, hands, sweat, silence. Takehiko Inoue knew exactly when to hold back and when to let it explode. And then came the final game. Sakuragi, injured, dragging his body across the court. Like his name, Sakuragi, the cherry blossom, he bloomed in full brilliance, only once. That last shot, drawn without dialogue, was the most breathtaking moment I've ever seen in manga. And when we learned his spine was injured, when we realized that was his last game, Inoue closed our youth with a brutal kind of grace. A rest note, written right across the score of our adolescence. Slam Dunk wasn't the first sports manga, but it made sports manga real. It made every game feel personal, every rebound a metaphor. It's the kind of manga that stays with you, not just for the buzzer beaters, but for who you were when you first read it. Story and writing, 5 stars. Art and visual design, 5 stars. Cultural impact, 4.5 stars. Before we reveal number 1, here are some honorable mentions. Fist of the North Star, the peak of hard-boiled aesthetics, brutal, tragic, and unforgettable. One line, "You're already dead," burned itself into manga history. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Nothing looks or feels like JoJo. Every generation rewrites the rules. The weirder it gets, the better it becomes. Case Closed, Detective Conan. It was always on TV, part of everyday life. It taught me how to build mysteries and how to love solving them. Number 1, Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball wasn't just a manga, it was the manga. A wild, impossible journey with talking animals, flying warriors, time machines, martial arts tournaments, and 7 magical orbs that could grant any wish. And at the center of it all, Goku. A boy too kind to be real, too strong to be stopped. Reading Dragon Ball was like drinking straight from the fire hose of imagination. Every chapter, Toriyama would throw away an idea most creators would spend years on. A tournament? Done. A world-ending villain? Defeated. Let's go to space. Let's come back from the dead. And somehow, it never felt cheap. It felt like freedom. The art was clean, fast, and effortlessly expressive. The fight scenes weren't just kinetic, they were readable, something a lot of action manga still struggle with. Toriyama's comedic timing, panel composition, and sense of scale were unmatched. Even now, the visual language of Dragon Ball echoes through every shonen series that came after. For me, Dragon Ball was the first world I ever got lost in. It made me want to draw. It made me want to tell stories. It taught me that rules could be broken, as long as you made it fun. Story and writing, 5 stars. Art and visual design, 5 stars. Cultural impact, 5 stars. These were the manga, the ones that shaped me. Some made me laugh, some made me cry. All of them stayed with me. If you want to see others like One Piece, Naruto, Attack on Titan, more episodes are coming, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.